just holding a faster pace, they'd be out in front of me, and I'm competing against myself, not them. But let's face it, competition is also to see how you do against someone else. Hey, I'm David Barefoot, and this is the Holy Shift Podcast. As a reminder, this is where we look at the opportunity to go from holy shit moments in life to holy shift moments in life. And that shift is spelled with a Y for two reasons. You and I are the ones who have to make the choice. What choice? That fork in the road represents every moment where we can either react in a way that's just like less than. It's just a reaction instead of a chosen response that moves us towards the life we want. So, Holy Shift today is going to look at the red line. What is the red line? Why does it matter? And how can you use it to get more out of life? The easiest way to look at red line is in athletics, in physical performance. And that's where it is typically measured most. Our heart rate, if you can visualize a chart, a monitor in real time where there's something hooked up that's reading your heart rate, it's going to show your beats per minute, right? And as you exert more effort, then that heart rate's going to go higher. And then as you breathe, slow your breathing down and slow your exertion down, the heart rate will drop. So as that graph is tracking that, it's showing that heart rate and that heartbeat. So in high performance, your heart rate is up, and as it continues to climb, it comes closer and closer to a danger level, which is the red line. That red line is a point at which a threshold where if you touch that red line, things literally change biochemically, and your amygdala is firing, and it's telling the body to protect itself. It's telling the body, we have to fight or we have to run. So it's literally sending blood to your pecs. It's sending blood to your glutes. It's sending blood to your quads, the biggest muscles in your body, so that you can stand and fight or so that you can run fast. So with that said, the obvious application of this red line is when we're faced with danger or when we're choosing to put ourselves in a challenging exertion state in exercise. In the weeks ahead, we're going to take the same red line concept, the principles that we're going to cover today, and we're going to take into other areas of our life. So your relationships with the people that matter most, like your wife, your husband, your kids, the key people in your life, this red line principle is going to be able to be applied in that area, or in your endeavor to give back to the world and get paid for it, your business, your career, your mothering, your parenting, your role as a parent, any endeavor to make money or give back philanthropically, whatever, those efforts also can have a red line principle that applies and that can enable you to achieve more, enjoy more, and also grow your capacity. We'll talk about what that looks like also. Another key area is your emotional state, how you show up. You've heard the saying, attitude is everything. Well, applying this red line principle is going to help you choose to be in control of your attitude and make that response instead of reaction, that shift, so that you have the victory instead of just the holy shit moment. But back to this physical exertion example. I'm going to use CrossFit just because it's a sport I love. I've been doing it now for 8 years, a little over 8 years. And we're right now in the middle of what they call the CrossFit Open. So each year there's a competition. Globally, people compete in gyms across the world, or they have a way to submit their performance through video recording. Everyone gets ranked, and then they get a reading on what's determined to be the fittest person on earth in all these different categories. And then based on how you perform, there's a next level called regionals, and then you compete in that, and that narrows the field. And finally, the top certain number of athletes end up being the ones that actually go to what are called the CrossFit Games. And so this year, 2024, yesterday was 2024.2, And that exercise or that workout was a 20-minute AMRAP, as many reps as possible within 20 minutes. The workout itself, the round, it was as many rounds and reps that you could do in that period of time. So I just want to paint for you the picture. There were 3 movements. One's rowing on a rower, Concept 2 rower, and it was only 300 meters, which for the average athlete's they're going to get that done in a little over a minute. For someone who trains regularly, they could get it under a minute. For someone who is, let's say, a super performance competitive CrossFitter, they're getting that down under, in the low 40s, and even the world-class guys probably in the 30s, I'm guessing, low 30s, super fast, right? And then for those that are doing the deadlift, the next exercise is deadlift, 10 deadlifts. The weight was a weight that was like, let's say 50% of what people's maximum is. It was 185 pounds for 10 repetitions for people that were in the regular RX competitive category. For me, at 55 and older, it was 135 pounds. So 10 deadlifts and then 50 double under on it with a jump rope. Those 3 exercises for one round could be done in easily less than 3 minutes. Actually, my first round was just over 2 minutes. The competitive athletes stayed under 2 minutes the entire 20 minutes, which is crazy. So the point here about Redline, if you are aware of your red line and you get good at knowing how to avoid crossing that red line, it enables you to know what kind of pace to hold. So for me, I didn't even get the concept for years. I wish I understood it earlier. I wish I had this podcast to listen to, because I would have started to work on it sooner. But once I understood the concept, I got in touch with where is my red line. And then I learned to exercise just below it, which meant I had to actually go slower. And yet my results went up. So if I was competing against other athletes and they came out hot and they went out much faster than me and they were doing reps faster and just holding a faster pace, they'd be out in front of me and I'm competing against myself, not them. But let's face it, competition is also to see how you do against someone else. And so sure enough, I started to take my eyes off of my competition and put it on my red line management. And next thing you know, I ended up experiencing far better results, feeling better about it, and something else happened. Once I understood that, I started to get excited about the little boring repetitions that we do day in and day out in between competition. Because what I found is your capacity goes up when you put tension and time in the mix. So if I put myself into exertion, which is the tension, and I do it over time, again and again and again, on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or whatever your workout routine is, and repeat that week over week for not that long, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, next thing you know, your red line actually goes up. So now my pace can increase without me hitting the red line. We didn't talk about why the red line matters so much. Being in fight or flight is one thing. The body's protecting itself. It's sending blood where it needs to go. However, something happens when you cross the red line. The amygdala, that part of your brain that's firing and having you focused on what's right in front of you and hyper aware to maintain safety, the fight or flight mechanism, cross that red line and it shifts to something far more serious. It's code red, DEFCON 1, and all of a sudden the brain sends a message to the body to shut down. It says, forget this fight or flight thing. We are going to literally shut down to avoid death itself. So you faint, or you get so dizzy you can't stand. Your breath gets so shallow that you go into hyper, you know the word, I'm not thinking of it, when you can't hold your breath, whatever that word is. But the point here is you've gone into a whole different state. You no longer have your faculties. You no longer are able to actually perform. And once you hit that, cross that line, even if you try to recover, say in that 20-minute workout example I gave, if someone hits redline at 12 or 13 minutes, the rest of the 7 minutes, no matter what they do to try and recover, it's not going to happen unless perhaps they literally were to sit down for 2 or 3 minutes, recover, which would be better. Otherwise, they're going to do 2 or 3 reps, fall, literally have to drop the weight. Their form falls apart. They're more prone to get hurt. It's a dangerous place to be. So let's wrap this up. The whole concept, and we'll look again how to apply it in other areas of our life, but just in this fitness and health and vitality category, getting aware that you have a red line, finding out what your red line is, and then playing with how to operate just below it and find a pace that works for you. But then take your exertion, tension, put it under time, and repeat over time with this excitement of knowing you're actually increasing your red line. You're actually increasing your capacity. And so with that, you can do more. From there, we'll, as I say, take that and apply it in these other areas. But knowing the red line, knowing how to play just under that red line, and pace, understanding that you can actually go slower and controlled and achieve higher outcomes. That's the response instead of the reaction. The reaction is to come out hot. The reaction is to try and make it happen. And instead, as we said, you can go slower to go faster, managing this red line concept and making that shifted choice. So I'm David Barefoot. This has been the Holy Shift Podcast. We'll see you next week.